Greeting Diamonds. This is Diamond in the Rough with a quick voiceover on how I process aloe for use in either hair, skin, nails, or spa use. I go to my local Indian grocery store that has fresh leaves all the time, and the best I would say to do is to get one by weight. The heavier, the better, free of blemishes, nicks, and cuts. Here you see me using a potato peeler to pull the spines off. I usually run it down the outside edges of the aloe twice to make sure I get all of the ribs and nubs off because those suckers are pretty smart and easy to cut you pretty good if you're not paying attention. So I use my potato peeler and I go down each edge twice. I'm a lefty, so excuse my arm for crossing into the frame of vision. I tried to stay out of the way as best as I could, but hey, left-handed people are in their right mind, so I'm doing it, I guess, as best as I can. So once I get the spines knocked off of both ends, I now shift to trying to peel the skin off. And the goal here is, diamonds, to cut as least of the flesh as possible. Because remember, the less you cut off, the less you waste. Now the concave or convex side is too fat, so I switch to the slimmer interior curl of the leaf and just going down with my potato peeler. As you see, it slides right down just like peeling a potato. And there's a shot I think later in the video where you'll see it be with the peels as thin as can be, because I don't want to waste any of aloe vera. Even though it's cheap, you know it's messy. There's gel and gook everywhere. Now my counter in my kitchen is very small. I bleached the heck out of it 2 or 3 times, wiped down everything. And so here you see me peeling it and doing a pretty decent job, I think, with one pass of a potato peeler. No scraping and going back and forth. Nobody has time for that. Where I couldn't get the potato peeler to work, from one end, I guess the fat end of the aloe leaf, I would come in from the thin side or the narrow side of the leaf. And here you see the peels, very little waste. The pieces you see will go in my compost pile outside for my garden. So once I'm done with the fat end of it, I then flipped the leaf around and then peeled the narrow end. The red you see is where, from what I understand, the aloe did not get a lot of water before it was harvested. So they tend to dry up from the tips of the leaf inward, just like they do our house plants. Where I couldn't get through with my potato peeler, I shift to my knife. And the knife you see easily can be purchased from an ethnic grocery store. Cheap, cheap, cheap. That knife you see was all of $6 and it is sharp as you know what. If you're not paying attention, you'll lose a fingernail. Don't ask me how I know that. So here I'm finishing up the edge of the aloe, taking off the bits of the leaf where I could not get to it with the peeler. And next I'll begin to fillet it or section and dissect the leaf into sections. You notice I'm not peeling the other side off. That's going to be done later. So once you're done with the interior side of the leaf, you see me slicing horizontally across the leaf in about 1 inch, 1.5 inch sections, all the way down to the tip. Then run the knife vertically down the length of the leaf using the knife to make 2 strikes. Here you see where I've cut too hard into the back of the leaf and it's cut it, but that's okay. The next step is to take a spoon and you'll begin to drag the spoon along the bottom skin of the leaf, pulling off the flesh as you go. If you look closely, you can see where the spoon is translucently, or the spoon is seen right through the bottom of the leaf. We know aloe vera is very translucent, and you can really see what you're doing. And what I like about this method, gems, is that you're able to portion off your aloe very neatly with as much gel and mess as possible. That's why I don't cut the other side of the leaf. And I switched to this method once I figured out I could peel this like I do a fish, or I could cut this like I do a filleted fish. Like when I'm skinning fish, this is exactly the method I use, except I cut one side of the fish, flip it over, then drag the knife down the other side of the fish to pull the skin off the outside. So the squares you see and a little bit of mess you see is, again, not having to um, use my hands and it's slipping and sliding all over the place. I have dropped aloe before on the floor trying to mess around with cutting both sides of the skin at one time. So I switched to this method because it's a little neater and easier and cleaner, as you can see. As easy as I'm cutting it here, you can do it exactly the same way. Scrape along as you go. Move your paper towel along the bottom of the aloe leaf so that you're able to get as much of the beneficial gel as possible. Scrape, scrape, scrape as best you can. One hand holds it while the other hand slices. And again, excuse my left-handedness, but I was born that way. And I couldn't do it right-handed. And there you see some of the reddened parts of the leaf where it, again, had just not got a lot of water before it was harvested. And here you'll see how thinly and how cleanly and how neatly this method of harvesting aloe works versus peeling both sides and then monkeying around with something so, almost so slippery and slidey that you can't really hold on to it. The pieces, parts that you see left on the skin, off camera, I use that on my face and put that on as almost a mini spa treatment while I was harvesting the leaf. But of course, what I put on my face, I'm not going to put in with my other pieces of aloe. And here you see the aloe already in perfect little squares, ready to be harvested and put in bags. I've divided it into 4 portions, 4 freezer bags, label and date each one, cost 88 cents per portion. How cheap is that? Easy to do. Bags are labeled, tagged, and bagged, folded neatly, stacked in my freezer. And when I need a portion of aloe for either my hair, skin, or nails, I pull one out a couple hours before and it thaws completely. Then put it in my blender. Give me a thumbs up for this video. Thanks, Gems. This was fun. Bye.